Well, it's to inform the residents of this district that the candidates that are inside that will be representing, so that they can be informed as to who to vote for, why they're voting for them, and which one will make a difference for our district. So we're going to start with the local candidates, which will be Dania Beach candidates first. Then we're going to go to the school board candidate. And then we're going to go to the county commissioner candidates, and the last one will be the congressional candidate. So all of them have something on the table that they need to offer us to make sure that every city that they're representing will be able to survive. I don't have a dog in the fight, and I just want to make sure that we inform everybody to let them know, may the best candidate win. Yeah, come on in. We're going to have a great time. Just come on in. Let's have a good time and ask the questions that we need to ask. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I see some familiar faces, and I'm so deliciously delighted to join you.
Do what you have been purposed to do, called to do, and commissioned to do. Amen.
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 Okay, so this is the way it's going to go with Dania Beach. I'm going to let you take a minute to introduce yourself, and then I'm going to come back with questions. Colman, you first.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Colman Ryan. I wanted to thank everybody for coming out to come and listen. I want to thank St. Bruce and everyone for putting this together. And it's an honor to be here today. And one of the oldest churches in Dania, I believe it's the longest still standing, operating under the same name. But there's a lot of history here. And it really shows us how us Danians are. It was originally built from the driftwood pulled from the ocean, moved down the block just to get knocked down by the 26th hurricane. But the church, the parish prevailed, just like us Danians do. Sorry, I really lost my spot here. True Danians don't give up. They fight for what they believe in, for what's right. And that's why I'm running to be your city commissioner here in Dania Beach. I'm a board. Can I get out my answer? Cut out of my answer.
Y'all be
That was the rules. Cut out of the answer.
Y'all be scripted.
Fourth generation Ryan. I've lived in East Dania. I've lived in West Dania. I've lived all over. I own property on US 1. I'm a member of the, my business is a paying dues member of the Chamber of Commerce. I'm president of the Dania Beach Improvement Committee. I'm a member of the Sons of the Legion. I'm your neighbor. I'm your friend. I've lived here my whole life. As a younger candidate, I bring fresh perspective and more accountability toward long-term sustainability. I've owned a business for 7 years. I've trained, hired, and fired employees when it's justified. Business is business, not personal. And when it comes to making those difficult decisions, you can count on me to do it for the city. I'm looking forward to the questions tonight and sharing my vision for a balanced and sustainable city and future for Dania Beach.
A lot of favoritism here. Yes, sir.
So this is how it works, because you know you went over his time. So when we come to the second question, we'll cut some of his time. Everybody understands what I'm saying?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Everybody show me how to do my job, because I know how to do it.
Okay. All right.
That's what I know.
Okay.
All right, and would you please use the microphones that we have on the table for you? That would be great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's do it fair.
Amen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Kevin Johnson. I'm glad to be here. I decided to put my name in a hat because I want to advocate for the city of Dania Beach. I've been a native here in South Florida for over 30 years. The reason that I'm passionate about serving the community is because not only that I'm an educator, I've been in education for 20 years. Young people is my passion, but also listening to residents and letting them be heard is important to me. That's the reason I decided to put my name in the hat to be an advocate for the residents here at Dania Beach. I've also worked here in Parks and Rec in Dania Beach, and I've enjoyed the time working with the city. But I also know that there's things that we can do to elevate the experience here for our residents. That's the reason I decided to put my name in the hat. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby Reese. My name is Diana Fahmie. I am a homeowner, business owner, and grandmother We were just talking about that. I have 4 children, and I absolutely love Dania Beach. As soon as I had the opportunity to buy something in Dania Beach, I absolutely did. My kids climbed the trees at Frost Park when they used to have the signs that said no climbing the trees. Don't tell anyone, please. But I absolutely love Dania Beach. I love advocating. I advocate all the time. And the reason why I'm running is because I want to see Dania Beach continue to thrive and to grow sustainably with a mindfulness for the future and nature. My 3 pillars are nature, neighborhoods, and next. So nature, we have to preserve our nature. I don't want to be like Miami, cutting down the big trees. Thank you.
Oh, he won.
My name is Hollis. I'm a lifelong resident from Hollywood and Dania Beach. I've been 20 years inside of Dania Beach. I see a few people that I know. My mom, she was a babysitter in this neighborhood for 50 years. My dad was a port worker in Dania. I'm a lifelong resident. The reason I jumped in this hat is too often that too many people that look like me, they're overlooked. So I came to represent the overlooked people as well as build a safety net around my community. I'm a lifelong resident. I've seen the ups and downs of both communities, Hollywood and Dania. Better suited that I'm now a resident of Dania, I felt that it was my duty to jump in this race and give the children somebody who they can look up to and say, if he can do it, I can do it. I come from a culture where there's been many ups and downs that people can see. I just came to represent the kids. Kids are always first. I love kids. I love kids. I love love. I'm here for the kids. I'm here for the community, the rise of the community, and I want to make sure that our children are involved. Our children have been left out, and I came to put a stamp on it and say, hey, don't leave our kids out. We love our children. We want our children to grow. That's why I ran for Dania Beach. Thank you.
The rules again, no clapping. Okay. No talking while the candidate.
Tell him, Miss Bobby.
Or saying what they're saying. This is your first one.
Uh-oh.
So glad to join you this evening, and you all, community, you look good out there. Can they give themselves a hand for looking good? There it is, right there. All right, so our first question tonight for the panel. We're going to start on the end.
Can the host introduce themselves?
You have 2 minutes for this question.
Can we see the time too?
How would you be able to work with the city and residents of Dania Beach to control the traffic with all the high-rises being built?
With traffic congestion, fighting it afterwards is much more difficult than proper planning in the beginning. For those following the Dania Commission right now, I'm sure everybody's seen that it's currently up for a vote to bring back the previous site density of 14 stories. There's a lot that comes with it. That's why one of the things I'm advocating for is more of the underground, but a citywide infrastructure map dated with installation date of pipes, materials, and proper. When it comes to city water, the flow pipes slowly close with calcium. Everybody knows cast iron pipe rot. There's a lot of stuff that goes unseen when we work on these big projects, and I believe that's something that we need to really map out, easy access, and just review on a project by project basis, and that way we can structure towards that. When it comes to traffic, we have to work close with DOT, county, and all of our other higher ups that help us with the roadways, and again, it comes down to proper planning. Thank you.
Well, regarding to traffic, I think proper planning is what's missing in regarding to congestion, new projects that's happening with development, I think getting the understanding that what is it that residents would like to see and how does it impact the residents, I think that is the missing key in regarding to the traffic. We cannot stop development. It's going to continue to grow and it's going to continue to bring new challenges as well. But I think making sure that the residents are informed of what's going on and included in that, I think it's important.
Thank you.
So regarding traffic, I was born in Miami, at Miami Beach. I grew up on Miami Beach. And I have a lot of experience with traffic when my parents were ill, going back and forth from Broward County through Miami Beach. And traffic is an issue pretty much everywhere in South Florida. And to not realize that is just crazy. As far as Dania Beach goes, I think any new buildings need to be properly vetted, and as the others were saying, we need to talk to all of the higher ups within DOT, Broward County, because a lot of times it's not Dania Beach, it's other authorities. So I think we have to have an open line of communication. Anything that's up for development needs to be properly studied, engineering studies. And I think these engineering studies should all be available to the residents to review. Shouldn't be done behind closed doors.
Amen.
So that's how I would handle it.
Thank you.
When it comes to traffic, I feel that the residents, number one, need to be involved. Like she said, the engineers don't need to be making deals behind the wheels. And often the traffic might not solely be Dania Beach. I know it's a lot of lights that kind of offset each other, so you get green in this light and this next light is red, so it kind of just traffic. We got people that like kind of look around and see what's not going. So there's many issues that kind of tie into it, but definitely there needs to be a plan when it comes to traffic in the community. The residents, they need to be involved. They're the ones who drive in the streets to take to meet their kids to school, pick them up from aftercare, different things like this. So the community needs to be involved with these engineers, and I think that everybody needs to just keep an open mind when it comes to these situations to bring everybody in and let everybody have a say so.
Thank you very much. Our next question. If you are elected to the city commission, will you work to bring unity to the Martin Luther King celebration to continue here in the city as a national holiday?
Of course, Martin Luther King will be a national holiday, and we will celebrate it in Dania Beach. We will get with our elders who've been here through the history. Dania Beach is the first incorporated city in Broward County, which means that there's a lot of black here. I'm from here, so I heard the stories of my dad. My dad would have been living right now, he's been 87. So I heard some grand, awesome stories when it comes to this community. So again, when it comes to any national holiday, but more importantly, as we speak of Martin Luther King, there will be a Martin Luther King celebration. The community will be involved, the children will be involved, and the elders of this community will have a say-so in planning.
Thank you.
Hello. When it comes to any reverent national holiday that is important to the community, I don't see why we can't have a community task force or a committee. Within, we have all sorts of committees. Why can't we have a committee on these important holidays and have the community decide what they would like to do and ask for the support of the commission?
Regarding MLK, it's a staple. There's no reason why we shouldn't have it celebrated here every year, and not celebrated by, okay, we're just we just did something at the park, but it needs to be a parade. That's what I grew up on, going to parades regarding MLK Day, celebrating our culture, celebrating black people. This is the first, Dania Beach is the oldest community or city in Broward County, and first black community in Broward County. So there is no reason why we should not be celebrating it every year like it matters. And so me taking seat, I would like to make sure there's a line item, budget line item, to be able to celebrate that and continue to celebrate it every year. Thank you.
Thank you.
The question.
Yes. If you are elected to the city commission, would you work to bring unity to the Martin Luther King celebration to continue here in the city as a national holiday?
Yes, absolutely. It is, you know, however it's celebrated, it's always a national holiday. But I grew up here in Dania, right in the MLK Day Parade. I remember it was always a good breakfast before. And it was a good time. It's time for everybody to get together and kind of, it's a long-standing tradition in Dania. I was sad to see it go, not be an item this year. I was sad that it was canceled by weather the year before. It's a long-standing tradition, and I do hope that, since none of us will get a vote on it for the budget this year, I do hope it gets a line item put back on and brought back to the city. Thank you.
There's always room for addendums. All right. Next question. Can you work to pay for our Little League football and cheerleading? We're gonna start with Kevin Johnson. Thank you.
Repeat that question one more time.
Yes. Can you work, if you are elected to the city commission, can you work to pay for our Little League football and cheerleading squad?
Well, my background is in sports, and my answer would be yes to that. Sports is very important in our neighborhoods. We've done a great job in regarding to enhancing our CW park. We've done a great job enhancing Frost Park. There's a lot of things that we've done in the city already, and I think my background is athletics and education. So yes, to answer that, yes, I think it's important and imperative to be able to provide these things for our young people, especially for free. I think it should be done for free. Thank you.
When it comes to paying for parks and programs, this is something that I've actually kind of taken a deep dive into the budget, because I see some opportunities for revenue producing possibilities within the parks, especially the newer park, and also even Frost Park. There's a lot of downtime within our parks, and there's people who need activities for their kids, and there are some people that can pay for them in some parks, and there are some people that can't pay for them. So I'm all for these programs if the need be to provide for those who don't have the ability to pay for them. Absolutely, I'm all for that. And I'm also for, why not ask the private sector? Why can't we get sponsorships? I know a lot of people who would be happy to sponsor. So it doesn't necessarily have to come from taxpayer dollars.
Amen. Thank you.
Of course. Me personally, anything a kid needs me to do, I don't care if I have to put my feet on the ground. If a kid, my background doesn't come from sports. I'm more of a handyman construction. I like to grow food and stuff like that. I'm sorry. But I'm not against any kid wanting to play sports. If I had to get out there and put my sweat equity to pay for these kids to do anything, I would do it with no question asked. One of my situations is I do want to eliminate all of the burdens off the taxpayers. I get that situation. But when it comes to sports, when it comes to anything of that nature, anything kid-friendly, and granted that every kid doesn't fall into the sports category. So we do need to find other programs, other outlets. My daughter, she likes art, she likes music. Maybe we can incorporate some studios, maybe we incorporate some art, different things like that. But anything that I have to do to make these kids happy, to keep these kids out of trouble, if it costs my sweat equity, if it costs my hard-earned dollars, I'm willing to do whatever I can to keep these kids off the street and out of trouble.
Thank you, Mr. Hollis. Our next question.
I got an answer to that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Ryan, yes.
Quick question, it was direct to football?
Yes, I'll repeat the question. If elected to the city commission, can you work to pay for our Little League football and cheerleading league?
Do we know what the sign-up fee is right now? How much?
$150 for football, $100 for the cheerleaders.
I want to say that's part where it does become a little bit difficult because if you offer it to one program, then it does have to go across the board to all programs. I know our Little League football and our cheerleading, majority of it is volunteers and stuff, but when you start talking to a lot of programs the city's trying to bring in, such as dance and other things, those might not be volunteers, it might be a higher cost. I would like to look at the numbers, but I do agree that we should, every time you've been to a little league football game, you see all the sponsorship draws. Use that to bring down the cost of the uniforms, bring down the cost for the kids. I'm a big fan of, and I know we have outside city residents here, but much higher cost for people who don't live in Dania Beach to keep the cost much lower for the kids who do live in Dania Beach. At the end of the day, I'm here to represent the city, and we got a beautiful new park. So I think we should make a little bit of money, even if it comes from outside the city. But I'm a big fan keeping the cost low for our residents here. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Our next question. The city is over capacity of building high-rises with high traffic problems. So let me start over. The city is over capacity of building high-rises with high traffic problems, no parking, and safety measures for our seniors. What would be your plan if elected to the city commission? What would be your plan to rectify this issue? We will start with Ms. Fahmie.
Okay, I guess I don't quite understand the question. Is the question how to protect the seniors as far as parking and safety?
Okay.
Because when it comes to that, like, why can't we have senior parking like they have expected mother parking?
Let me bring a little clarity to the question. The city is over capacity of high rises, while high traffic problems, no parking, and safety measures. So they have it's over capacity, and then there's a lot of high rises being built. No parking, the traffic problems, and there are safety issues that pose as a problem. What would be, for the seniors, what would be a solution to rectify this?
For the seniors, an immediate solution would be the seniors, if the senior is ever afraid to go out to a parking space or doesn't have parking, they need to have a BSO escort, something. We need to keep our seniors safe. That's number one. As far as the overcapacity, I mean, any new building that occurs, we need to see a feasibility study and we need to see an impact study. So, and this is something that I've written feasibility studies. So, everything needs to be looked at on an individual basis. So I think it's a difficult question to answer because there's like 5 parts to it. So please excuse me, excuse my, but the immediate issue, if there is an immediate issue with seniors being afraid or not finding parking or not going to their parking or going out into wherever, that needs to be dealt with immediately, by BSO.
Hey, Mr. Hollis.
I don't mean to sound cold-hearted, but I'm worried about and thinking about my seniors right now. So I said, let's easy stop building. Let's take a break on it. We've been building for the last how many years? Let's make a plan to really take care of our community. Let's look at these situations that we're up against and see the possible difference. Like, there's been more problems for our community, our seniors, our young people. Let's take a break on building, let's reset, and I think we should gather everything up, whatever we need to do, and just say, hey, let's get to it, but it's time to stop building. I'm sure just like I'm a local, the rest of the locals, they're tired of it too. Let's just take a break on it.
Amen. You benefited from it anyway.
I'm gonna have to ask for confirmation of the question again.
Okay.
Can you repeat it?
The city is over capacity of high rises with high traffic problems, no parking, and safety measures for our seniors. How would you work as a city commissioner to rectify this problem?
The help with our seniors.
So on the current side of it, a lot of this goes into future planning. Pretty much when a site plan is done and a development is done, it's set in stone. I do believe that we are a growing city, and with that growing, we're a little bit new to the larger development side of things. If you can't beat them, at least make it the best you can. And I think we need to add a lot to our code. I think there is land use things that need to be changed. And that goes on multiple items. That goes across for flooding and everything else. But protected parking, you can't have people at risk, especially when you're building. You have an opportunity there when you're building to make something that's safe and good for everybody. You know, you have to really gear down and make sure and go over these plans and make sure it's going to work for everybody. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson. Thank you, Mr. Bond.
Yes. In regarding to answering the question for our elderly, I think that we should have a free trolley in the city. And I think that would assist, not alleviate problems. Problems, there's always going to be problems. But I think that can be able to add some value to the city. So having a free trolley. Also, in our commission right now, we're in a conversation with community development, the density, what does that look like? And then also with parking, knowing that parking it's not enough, right? So I would like to have, Commissioner, would like to be a part in having town hall meetings with the residents so that this decision that's made is cohesive and it's in uniting and togetherness in the decision that's being made and not made before the residents understand what's really happening. So transparency for me is really important, but I also think allowing the residents to be at the front of the table when these decisions are made, especially with capacity building, and it's happening to me here as well as I'm living here in Dayton. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Ms. Fahmie.
Cheers.
Did everybody know what you?
Yes. I was the confused one at first.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So I believe this is we have wrapped up our question for the panel, and
Now, can everybody give them a really nice hand? And that's why we have forms like this, so you can understand before you vote who to vote for. And speaking of that, if you have not registered to vote, if you have not received your new voter's registration card, which I have, and on last week, some of them said they still have not, please call Joe Scott's office, 954-357-7050 to make sure you get your card. And if you are in need of an absentee ballot, you do the same thing. And if you have a birthday that has been recent and you had your driver's license changed, you need to update that with his office also. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And we're going to have our school board member. She's not going to have the same luxury that you had, but she's going to come and tell us what she's done and what she's going to do. And then she's going to go to another function for our children. Speaking of our children, I just want you to know that I am ecstatic. The grades came out yesterday. And I am really happy
for Broward County and Dade County, because we have all of our schools, we have no Fs and no D schools. And Dania Elementary is an A school again this year. So I think you're doing a good job. So we're going to ask you guys to please join us out here and listen to the other candidates, because you don't only vote for yourself in this election, you got to vote for other people too. Thank you so much for being here.
You're currently serving as your District 1 school board member, which is southeast Broward County and includes all of Dania Beach. I'm very happy to be here today. I see a lot of familiar faces. Thank you to St. Ruth, and thank you to former Mayor Bobby Grace for inviting me. I really appreciate it. So I won't keep you long, just a little bit about myself. I have 4 children. They all go to public school in District 1. The 3 have gone to Addicts, 2 are going to be in South Broward, 1 graduated from South Broward, and I have 1 at Hollywood Central. So I got, and I'm also a lawyer. I do business and real estate law, but I started out as a housing attorney at Legal Services in Greater Miami. So affordable housing is also something I'm very interested in and passionate about. I started out as a PTA president and school advocate, and advocated for Hollywood Central because that was my kid's school. But as I was working with our one of my commissioners, Caryl Shuham, I came into advocacy and then ended up running for this seat, but only had a half term. So now I'm running for a full term. And we have a lot of challenges with the public schools right now. So with enrollment and other things like that. But as Bobby Grace just said, we're, for the 3rd year in a row, an A school district, and we're doing great academically. And so what the focus is now for me, and what I've been working on the last 2 years, is really looking to have municipal partnerships and nonprofit partnerships in our schools to bring programming to our kids and to make sure that our schools are protected and keeping our District 1 schools open, which I've been able to do for the last 2 years, as we've gone through redefining. The City of Dania Beach has been an amazing partner. They were our municipal partner of the year 2025. We've worked very closely to make sure that we are getting the best results for our students. We're working with Olson. We have several different solutions that we're looking at to keep Olson open and thriving. And I think one of the greatest accomplishments for this year is that Olson is going to start at 8 a.m. instead of 7:05. Oh, wow. So that's going to really, I advocated for that, and I think that's really going to help with enrollment, because I know for me, I didn't want to have to get up at 5:30 in the morning to get my kids off to middle school. So I think that's going to be a great thing for Olson. We also have partnered with the Sloan Stephens Foundation. Sloan Stephens is a tennis star, the U.S. Open champion in 2017, and the Muhammad Ali SB Humanitarian Award winner for 2025. So her foundation provides funding for free recess tennis for students that might not have been able to be introduced to tennis. So they have an active program right now at Collins. We're working to bring it to Dania Elementary. They weren't able to do it the past year because of all the construction that's going on and the improvements. We're also looking, I think our next goal for Dania is going to be a new facility for Collins Elementary. I think we can all agree that we've probably gotten all of our useful life out of that facility. It's a fantastic school, a beautiful community school, so that's something that we're going to be doing moving forward. We've also been focusing down a little bit south of here, and we have this amazing opportunity. Hollydale High School is going to be transformed for the coming year, and it's going to be a 4-day school week, and bringing all kinds of new programming, really looking at media production, EMT. They're revamping the automotive facility so they can actually do shop work at the school. And so that's really trying to revitalize for options for our students in this area. We also have New Turf Field at South Broward, got the auditorium up and running. We're working to partner with the various art agencies, because Dania is a growing art hub, so we're looking to increase art in the schools as well. And so those are some of the things, I guess, that we're doing that I've been able to do in the last 2 years. Does anyone have any questions? I think
One thing that you said, and I want to emphasize it because Collins Elementary was built in 1956, if I'm not mistaken. There have never been any upgrades in that school. I was PTA parent there before Olson Middle School, before Hollywood Hills. And every time there's a budget, and especially the one that really irked me the most was 2014, when money was allocated for that school, and the next 2 years it disappeared and we got nothing done. I don't ever want to see that happen again. We got to do better.
No,
we have to do better.
And to that point, I would say with Thune Elementary, I was able to get funding to replace the administrative building in the last 2 years, which is amazing because they have JLAC windows and window air conditioning units that are older than me. So Collins is my next goal. I know they don't even have the bathrooms built on a slab.
The original ones are still there.
Right. So that will be coming soon. I promise I'll be.
Be safe. I know you have another event,
Thanks,
so
guys.
cheer them
And
on for me.
August 18th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just want this young lady to tell you a little bit about herself before she takes her seat, and I bring up the next moderator.
Hello, my name is Catrice Johnson. I'm a native of South Florida, born in Miami 305, but raised in 954 in Broward County, right in the greatest city, the best hidden secret in Florida, Hollandale Beach, Florida. Yeah. And I am a proud Charger. Hollandale, graduated from Hollandale High School, and yes. And I am so glad for the improvements and the progress that is being made, and we will keep a fire under that work that's going on. I am also the lead organizer for the southern region of Faith in Florida. Faith in Florida is a social justice agency, faith-based, and I am glad to be here. I do a lot of work here in the Dania community. As a matter of fact, in the last voting cycle, I also did a forum, and I am glad to be a part of this great work and pushing the progress and improvements for our cities, and especially the neglected areas of our cities. Thank you very much.
His brother and I were a lot closer. So he knows he's second, not first. Josh and I ran the circuits for Broward County for people to be elected in Broward County that were working for the residents of Broward County. And the most important and the best moment that we ever had was when Congressman L.C. Hastings had Congressman John Lewis come.
Once again, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And we want to say thank you to the candidates for showing up tonight. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Once again, you've heard the House rules. If it's something that you like, just give it a little wave. If it's something that you're still thinking about, just keep on thinking. All right. It's going to be informative, impactful, and non-partisan, and engaging. And we're going to be fair about our questions on tonight. Amen? All right. I said amen, didn't I?
Amen.
Amen.
It's a church, Pastor. All right. We're just going to take we got a minute to introduce themselves. 1 minute. All right. We're going to start with A.J. Ryan. We're going to start on that end, and you introduce yourself to our community.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm A.J. Ryan. It's a pleasure to be here with friends, colleagues, and family. It's great to have my cousin Colman run for the Dania City Commission. It's a proud day in our family for me to running to represent the county, possibly the city as well, with Colman. So Thanks for being here. I am a small business owner, real estate broker, insurance broker, CAM, born and raised here in Dania Beach. What we accomplished in Dania Beach is unheralded in the last 5 years, I would say, with the leadership that we had with our commission. We've rose ourselves to new levels. We set records when it comes to infrastructure, storm drainage, public safety initiatives, and parks and rec as well. So I'm very proud of that. What I wanted to bring was respect to our city. And I've noticed on these campaigning trails that Dania Beach kind of gets looked down upon, which is very unfortunate. And that's why I ran for Dania Beach, to show us that we mean something. I've raised our level when it came to a county level, a state level, and a federal level. So thank you very much.
Ms. Shuham, candidate Shuham.
Thank you, Pastor. Hello, everyone. My name is Caryl Shuham. I currently am a City of Hollywood Commissioner. I want to first thank St. Ruth's, Mayor Bobby Grace, Pastor, Dr. Reverend Pope, and I think I saw Pastor Manuel. Everyone here, just thank you so much. I think these community forums are so important. I started out, I grew up in Baltimore, Maryland. We moved to Broward in '97. My background is I'm a civil engineer and a construction lawyer. And shockingly, those two things have made my time on the Hollywood Commission very impactful. We live in one of the lowest spots in Broward County. We are all concerned about sea level rise and flooding. In Hollywood, we recently passed $1 billion with a B, $1 billion stormwater master plan. It is a cross between infrastructure improvements and housing that's affordable that I'm really focused on. During my time in Hollywood, I have brought a lot of these projects to fruition with the assistance of my commission and a great city staff. I want to do that for you at the Broward County level. Thank you.
Candidate Bold.
To God be the glory. My name is Eugen Bold, and it's good to be back. Pastors, Ms. Bobby Grace, I don't know where she ran. She's here. I'm so grateful to be back here. I was here for the anniversary. I was here with my wife. Now she's here as well, and my 2 children. But it's such an honor and a privilege to be in the house of God, because I grew up in a Baptist church. And I grew up in Romania. I grew up poor, and I came here as an immigrant with nothing in my pockets but God above. And God has been very good to me. He gave me a family, He gave me kids. I worked in higher education, trying to shape young minds and empower youth. And then in 2019, one of the county commissioners, this gentleman's uncle, was very gracious with me and offered me a job at the county. So for the past 5.5 years, I worked on affordability and infrastructure and jobs and economic empowerment and all the things that matter for our communities. And I'm very humbled to be here. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Give a hand. We can all right, we're going to go right into our first questions. I was raised that ladies are always first. So my first question is to candidate Shevrin. What is the most pressing issue facing Broward County District 6, and how would you work to solve it?
Thank you, Pastor. I think one of the most pressing issues, and we hear the word all the time, is affordability. People cannot afford to live here any longer. We have children that are growing up and they can't stay in the neighborhood that they grew up in. That is the biggest problem. How do we fix it? We need more housing. We need people not only to live in rental apartments that are deemed affordable, but we need to make available more houses for people to buy so they can grow up and stay in this community. We need to lower property insurance. And to do that, we need to get rid of the flooding. It is all interrelated. We need to make this place a safer and better place to live for our children and make it more affordable so generation after generation, just like we hear here in Dania and in Hollywood, families can continue the legacy of their family. Affordable housing, or housing that is affordable, is really a subjective term. We have a project in Hollywood right now where they're saying a 500 square foot unit for $2,600 a month is affordable. And I say, in what universe is that affordable? It's not. And so when you hear about projects going up in your community that are deemed affordable, take a long, hard look, because the definition has been changed up in Tallahassee to make it so that no one can afford it. We need to increase inventory and force that price down. We need to get rid of flooding and open up spaces. And the worst thing that we can do is put housing that really is affordable in climate-sensitive areas. What's the point of putting people that can barely afford to pay groceries in a community where their car is going to get flooded or they won't be able to get to work? So it's the intersection of what we're seeing with flooding and housing that I think is the most critical. And of course, we have to always, always support public safety. We have to make sure that our residents are safe. When I came to Hollywood, we had no police body cameras, and now we do. It was one of the first initiatives I worked on. Hollywood, it was embarrassing.
Thank you.
So safety, affordability, and dry land. Thank you.
Candidate Ryan.
Thank you. Yes, issues we face in the county right now are coming with this property tax referendum that's coming up, and it has to do with the budget. And there's a lot of items on the budget that we need to look at and we need to balance. Broward County is set to face probably a $300 million budget deficit, I would say, when it comes to what we're dealing with and what's coming from Tallahassee. So how can we tackle that? There's a couple ways we can tackle that. Half of our budget is with PSO, so we have to negotiate well with the sheriff to ensure that we bring public safety at the highest level possible without losing services, but still maintaining an affordable lifestyle for police officers. When it comes to new projects that the county has, the county wants to build like $1 billion county governmental center. I think right now where that building is, it still functions well, it still gets things needed that need to be done. That can be put on the back burner to make up for the deficit that we have right now. We want to have a transparent government here. We want to let the residents know where your money goes, what we're doing to help you, to help your city, to help the county. How do you get fresh water? What's going on at Port Everglades and the airport, our two largest economic engines? What do we do to grow our safety with our police presence? What do we do to build up our youth? I put my foot forward. I'm a football coach here, right down the block at C.W. Thomas Park. And I believe when you want something done, you got to do it yourself. You have to lead by example. And that's what we've done in Dania Beach. We've led by example when it comes to balancing a budget, record reserves, when it comes to building new parks, getting involved, being transparent, providing people as much information as you possibly can. The more the people know, the better it is, and it makes it easier for you to lead. I make difficult decisions all the time. I've sat at the head of the table when you have to negotiate with the sheriff. I've sat at the head of the table when I have to declare a state of emergency in my city twice. I know what it takes to lead a people through crisis. When it's easy, everybody can be a leader. Anybody can stand in front and be a leader. But that's why I want to do on the bring to the county level. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bold.
So affordability is the most important issue we face right now. However, there are two sides of this coin. There's one version of this that says, well, we just got to take more government money, put more affordable housing, which is a good alternative to what we have now, which is not much. But there's a second part to that, which is economic growth and jobs. There's only so much we can do by taking money from here and put it here, because right now, what they're doing is they're providing density to these developers. They're saying, hey, here's some extra money, you can build a little, 2, 3, 5, 10 units. That's not enough for our youth, for our seniors. That's not enough. And so you gotta bring jobs and economic development to a community. This is the solution. You have to pair economic growth with affordability and resiliency. So transportation is a big issue. Right now, Broward County does not have a very good public transit system. So I would say, how about we invest in public transit so we can move around the county? We put these developments around those transit hubs, and we bring better jobs. So we work on the environment that way too, because we don't have to take all the car. And every time you go to your job or to school, get in a car. You can't take public transit. You make it resilient because you build using new standards as opposed to outdated standards. And so you solve multiple issues at once, and most importantly, we empower youth, apprenticeships, internships, and jobs, good paying jobs. We have Career Source. The state is already offering money. How many of you know that we already have money in the community available for apprenticeships for youth? This is what elected officials should do. They should bring the resources into the community, not for the community to have to schlep to Fort Lauderdale to find out what government programs are available. So bringing these things here in the middle of the community and doing it the right way, not by just saying, hey, we're just going to put more buildings. That doesn't solve everything. How about put more money in your pockets?
Thank you. Thank you. All those answers were great and leads me into my next question. How would you ensure fair distribution of county resources and services throughout District 6, and especially this community? Yes, Paul.
A couple of years ago in West Park, a house blew up. I heard about it. I called Mayor Felicia Bronson, and I said, I work for the county. I'm a county director of policy for one of the county commissioners. I want to come and see what's going on. I showed up. We toured the block. The entire block, square block, was completely destroyed. Those who are familiar with that area, they know what I'm talking about. I said, what can the county do? So I called my people at the county and I said, we have a budget of $8.6 billion. What can we do to help this community right now? You know what their answer was? What happened in West Park? 2 days later, the people at the county didn't even know what happened in West Park. Another example. In 2001, a child was killed trying to cross on Ely Boulevard, trying to cross from the school to the playground. Those of you who live around here, they know what I'm talking about. Tim Burton, the president of the Liberia Civic Association, called me at the time and said, Mr. Bold, you work at the county. We don't have any traffic calming devices, anything to stop cars from cutting through between Sheridan and Sterling. They're basically doing 70 miles an hour. Can you do something about it? And I said, how come that Hollywood Dania? It's like, can the county get involved? Right now, today, if you drive on that road, you will see yellow beacons and traffic calming devices to slow cars down, because I made a call to the traffic engineer at the county. And I said, why hasn't this been taken care of? When I asked the community, they looked at me and they said, you know, Eugene, why this hasn't been taken care of. You know why. That cannot happen any longer. We cannot have areas of the county where people are not treated right, and other areas that are in surplus of resources.
Time.
We have to do a better job at that.
Thank you. Ms. Shuham.
Thank you. So the question is, as a county commissioner, how do you make sure the resources of the county are equitably distributed to the cities that are within the district? So what does equitably distributed mean? It should not mean that every city gets the exact same amount, because every city has different needs. So the answer, in my mind, is listen to the constituents. People elect a person to represent them at a government. Right now in Hollywood, if you were to ask any member of my district, they will tell you Caryl listens and Caryl gets it done. So as a county commissioner, I will have the representatives from all the cities, which include, of course, Dania Beach, Hollywood, Hallandale, West Park, Pembroke Park, even a little bit of Fort Lauderdale and Davie. And those representatives and those residents will always know they can reach me, share with me what the needs are, and then we will take those needs, take those questions to the county. And I have worked on many county boards for the past 8 years, and I still do. The Solid Waste Authority, the Climate Change Task Force, the Metropolitan Planning Authority, where I represent Hollywood on all regional transportation planning for this area. People like me who've worked on county projects and county committees for 8 years, we know where those resources are, or we know who to ask to find out where those resources are. So I will listen to each and every one of you. I will listen to your civic associations and your homeowners associations and your city council people, your city commissioners. And we'll identify the needs, and we will go back to the county asset bank and find what you need and make sure that the assets get equitably distributed that way. based on the need of the community and not based on the number of people in the community. Thank you.
Look, I'm no stranger here. I've given proclamations at this church for many years as an elected official. I coach your children at C.W. Thomas Park, like I said. My office, I could have walked here if it wasn't so hot. As an elected official, I've seen how Dania has been treated as mayor, sitting at the head of the table. You want to talk about the county putting resources in the city? The county wanted to put like 50 tiny homes for homeless folk over at what's it called? I don't know, over at the old estuary, over across from the Dania Beach sign. Exactly, right? It's called the Clay Shaw property. And the county destroyed that property, first of all, when they expanded the airport. And that was my first crack at, I'd say, city government way back in 2010, 2011. And the county destroyed that, and so they destroyed that land, and then they gave private owner $27 million, and now that land's useless. And then they said, hey, yeah, let's spend tens of millions of dollars to put tiny homes over here in Dania Beach. Like, psh, it's peon. You know, that's not right. Hopefully with some good thing, with some lobbying from my end, we got that canceled, okay? And we don't need something like that. None of those county commissioners probably even drove by that property, okay? When you're on the county commission, you are considered an expert in your district. My family's been here for 100 years. I'm born and raised here. My business is here. My whole family's here. Everything I know is about this area. I won a state championship in Chaminade. Rode my bike over to the Hallandale Beach Balloon. I am no stranger to what's going on here, and I see it firsthand. I have experienced it as a leader. So you bet your bottom dollar be bringing resources back to not just Dania Beach, but to the whole entire district, where people need it the most, especially the most vulnerable. That's what we need to look after as county commissioners, because the other county commissioners, they take your word for it on this district. So when you talk like you know what you're talking about, and you could back it up with real results and with real roots, then they'll listen a little more, and they'll go your way. And that's what we got to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Our final question. What strategy would you support to address affordable housing and homelessness in Broward County? No. Sure.
Thank you. So first, let's talk about homelessness. It is a terrible crisis. I live in East Hollywood. We have our homeless who we know and we care for. And when the economy gets bad, we have additional homeless people who suffer because they can't pay their rent and everything else. It's really two different types of homelessness. The latter is economic, and they need a helping hand during a tough time. The first type tend to not want a helping hand. They reject the services that we offer, and they're very comfortable living where they live. So the first thing I would say about homeless is you have to recognize those two types. In Hollywood, we have a homelessness task force, and we have an outside organization where we go out into the community, meet the homeless, and ask them, how can we help? Our police force work with the homeless daily, provide anyone who needs to get back to family members a means of transportation to get home. There are a lot of great ideas to help the homeless. Unfortunately, many of the members of our homelessness community in Hollywood reject a lot of help. It's a very, very, very tough problem. But it's something that in Hollywood I know we have worked very hard on, and I will continue to do so at the county. With respect to affordable housing, I just want to say it is critical that affordable housing that's affordable be placed on transit corridors, places where people can leave their home and get access to transportation to get them to work. Broward County is already really working hard on this, something called the Geller Plan, which allows buildings to be built on transit corridors with a little extra density, a little incentive to get the developers to build in areas they might not otherwise. And I think that Broward County is really doing fairly well in this, but the deficit in the number of units that we need here is extraordinary. So as I said before, we need more housing, but we have to be very careful where we put it. Thank you.
Candidate Bold.
We're in the house of God. And the way I grew up is church should be a hospital for your soul and for your body. Why can't we use and get the government to help churches build some housing adjacent to the church? The law has been passed, thank you. Why can't we engage our faith communities? I grew up in church. My wife grew up in a Pentecostal, I grew up in a Baptist church. And that was a problem when I tried to get married, but right now it's fine. It's only been about 9 years. But what I'm saying is we have so many faith communities who are ready to help. Why shouldn't the government get involved with that? Number 2, on homelessness. Broward County spends about $46 million. About 26 your money for property taxes, the rest from federal and state grants. On homelessness, when I was at the county, I called the homeless hotline and I said, hey, I pretended I'm on the street with a child. And I said, I have a child on the street. Can I get something tonight? And the lady's like, I'm not really supposed to tell you this, sir, but we don't have anything. And if you have a child, a lot of the landlords don't want to take you because that's extra liability. So you're telling me that I cannot get anything tonight? She's like, I'm sorry, no. Meanwhile, I'm sitting at my desk in the office of county government looking at a budget of $46 million, and this lady's telling me I cannot get nothing tonight. This is government for you folks. That's why we need to get politicians that have not been performing out and the people that want to deliver for their fellow citizens, for their fellow working class people in office to fight for you. This is what we need. People that have a heart, people that have a soul and are going to be there for fellow citizens. And I'm going to finish with this. Mr. Jerry's right here. I was holding a sign, an MLK sign, when Dania chose a different path. If a municipality in my district will not be able to afford MLK, the county will step in and will make sure that that happens. Thank you.
All right, this is about homelessness and affordable housing. So homelessness is a multitude of issues, okay? It's a social issue, it's a community issue, it's a financial issue, and it's a mental health issue as well. There's multiple types of homelessness, right? There's chronic, there's people who are just on the edge, people who want to stay that way, and there's people that can't find housing. That's why affordable housing is tied in with it. What do? We have to bring mental health experts to accompany BSO, to accompany the police, our local police officers, because they are trained especially to deal with those individuals that have mental health issues as homeless persons. Some people who are homeless, they need to get back home. What have we done? We offer them a bus ticket to get back home to where they have to get. It's not like we just send them on a bus and say, get out of here. We contact their family. We establish contact and we send them up and we help them out. We even work with our motels over here in Dania Beach to house people temporarily. Single mom with 2 kids. That's how you address the problem. You have to be on the ground. You have to know them. I said this on the city commission. I know a lot of these homeless folks by name. I know them. That's where Joe stands on the corner. All right? He wants that. Help him out. But we have to recognize that it's a much broader issue and it's very complex. But you have to tackle it in many different ways. You have to tackle it financially. You have to tackle it socially. You have to tackle it from a mental health aspect. That's very important when it comes to homelessness. When it comes to affordable housing, Dania Beach leads the county per capita when it comes to affordable housing. And it's not just building new buildings. It's not just building new shiny buildings and shoving people in there and say, there we go, we solved the problem. No. We also created ADUs, which are accessory dwelling units, which means you could build in-law quarters in your backyard. All right? You can move in your grandmother. You can move in that kid who just got out of college. That helps. That helps tackle the affordable housing issue, and it also increases the value of your property at the same time. That's how you tackle those issues. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, candidates, with 60 seconds, with a minute, let this community know just why they should vote for you and give you their vote on August the 18th. 60 seconds. Candidate Shuham.
Well, first, thank you so much. This has been great. I would love to have your support on the Broward County Commission. I want to bring to you what I brought to the city of Hollywood. I am a fighter for the residents, and I am a person who protects neighborhoods. I will make sure that your home retains its value and that your children can come and live in the same community as young adults that they grew up in. So please vote for Caryl Shuham. Go to carolshuham.com and make sure you're registered to vote. And if you like to vote by mail, please go on the Supervisor of Elections site and check and make sure you're getting your ballot. Thank you so much.
Candidate Ryan.
I'm AJ Ryan, and I humbly am asking for your vote for Broward County Commission. This is an open seat that's vacated. It's probably going to be taken up for over the next decade. This is a critical time in Broward County. Who do you want out there to represent you? You want somebody who has the capabilities, the institutional knowledge, and the understanding of working with the community to get business done? I'm here to work for you. When you fight, sometimes you don't get things done. I'm here to build relationships, foster relationships with the community, create good paying jobs, build our economic opportunity, increase our public safety, tackle the affordable housing issue in a correct and sustainable way for the community. Of course we're going to face disaster here. Like I said, I've been through all disasters from Hurricane Andrew on. My great-grandmother was in Dania Beach Hotel and was 6 feet underwater. So I'm accustomed to this community, and I will do everything I possibly can and work as hard as I can to represent you to get things done. I'm not just here to give you promises. I'm a problem solver.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bold.
I'm not just going to ask you to vote for me. I'm going to ask you to pray and to have God lead you as to who the best person for the job is. Because in my opinion, this is a spiritual battle. This is how I was raised. It's a spiritual battle between good and evil, between those, the millionaire class and those that are coming from working class backgrounds, those who had their parents working factories, those who did security jobs and painting jobs, and who are struggling to raise a family in this community. I may look a little different, but the inside is the same. The inside is the same. I love this community. I've been involved, and there's many people in this community who know what I'm saying. I've been involved. I care. I love you. And I will do everything in my power to serve you well. Whether it's by bringing jobs to the community, fighting for affordable housing, fighting for MLK funds so that we have the dignity we deserve.
Time.
Whether it is by bringing every tool and resource that county government has and has not deployed. That is my promise. Thank you for being here, and God bless you.
Put your hands together for these wonderful candidates. Something you do agree with, you applause, give us a hand, all right? Once again, we want to thank our candidates for taking out their time to be here on this evening, joining us on the evening. All candidates were invited, but as you see, just 3 have accepted and 3 are here, and we're going to go on with that. Okay? All right, we're going to take time for each candidate to introduce themselves to the community and share a little something about themselves to the ones that's here. We're going to start with candidate Meeks. 1 minute.
Good evening, everyone. Let me make sure this is on. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kendrick Meeks. I'm running to be your member of Congress here in Florida's 24th Congressional District. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you. I'm running because I grew up in this community. I love this community, but for the past few years, I've seen the folks that built this community can't afford to live here anymore. And we need responsible leadership to change that. And that's why I'm running, because we can't wait another 10, 15 years for a new generation of leadership. Folks that actually care about this community, that actually care about the people in this community. We need new leadership now, and I mean right now. So that's why I hope I can earn your vote August 18th, and I'm very happy to be here with you all, and thank you again.
Kendrick Jones.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here with you all. My name is Shevrin Jones, and born and raised in Miami Gardens. And then my parents, we all moved to West Park, also known as Howard Ranches. As a matter of fact, my parents went to Agnew Senior High School right here in the city of Dania. And former Mayor Grace, you know that. Listen, for the past 14 years, I've had the opportunity to work in Tallahassee and pass meaningful legislation that many of you have felt, you've touched, and that you've seen. My goal is to go to Washington, D.C., not just to be another vote for you. My goal is to go to Washington, D.C. to continue to fight on behalf of the people that we've been fighting for. The 24 million people who felt the laws and the policies that we passed here within the legislature. We're just not individuals who are just running for office for higher office. We're running for office because I know for a fact that the people here in this room and across this district deserve not just respect, but they deserve the representation. I'm Shevrin Jones, and I'm looking forward to this conversation this evening. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Oliver Gilbert. I'm a county commissioner from Miami-Dade County, but more importantly, I'm the son of a Southern Baptist preacher and a Seventh-day Adventist teacher. So, Pastor, I spend all my time in church on the weekends. I feel very comfortable right now. But listen, I'm a hometown kid. Born and raised in Miami Gardens, but in some ways, the residents, you all understand what boundaries don't. That we're actually one community. Like that District 24. Listen, I remember I was a prosecutor in Broward County. I was a lawyer working cases for the city of Dania Beach in Broward County, the oldest and one of the most distinguished cities in Broward County. Look, we have challenges as a country, we have challenges as a congressional district. My history is that I have actually faced challenges, solved problems, and fixed things. I did that in Miami Gardens when they said it couldn't be done. I did that in the county when they said it couldn't be done. I will go to Washington and I will work for you. I will go to Washington and I will win for you. That's important because we need things. Thank y'all very much.
All right, our first question. We've been hearing it a lot, and we want to hear from you all. Families across the District 24 are struggling with rising housing costs, insurance policies, premiums, groceries, and utilities. What are the top 3 actions would you take in Congress during your first year to make life more affordable for working families? We'll go with candidate Jones. 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. So the first thing that we need to do, one, we are very clear that the affordability that's happening within this country, within this state, that people are actually feeling it. As a matter of fact, many of you in this room, you're feeling it. 2, we have to understand that everyone who are receiving a paycheck, yeah, you might be receiving a paycheck, but your paycheck is not keeping up with the cost of living. The first thing that we need to do is we need to go after corporations that are price gouging individuals left and right, even when we're seeing that the government and we see that the federal government is struggling. The second thing we need to do, we've been talking about affordability in housing, but we have to make sure that we expand the housing tax program. Why? Because if individuals cannot pay their rent, if individuals cannot pay their mortgage, if individuals cannot get into a home, how do we expect people to grow? The last thing that must happen, I made it clear in the last forum that we had, and I'll say it again. We have to figure out how we move with the cliff effect. Individuals should not have the ability to get a raise, but yet they still have to choose whether or not they want to keep their government assistance or get that raise. If we're serious about moving people out of the middle class, we should not penalize those individuals from being able to grow into the middle class. Those are the top 3 things that I would do because I think those are things that can be actionable and it's nonpartisan. They can actually move in a Republican or Democrat-led Congress. Thank you so much.
Candidate Gilbert.
Thank you. Immediately, when elected, we need to hold the president accountable. We don't need to be in wars that we can't afford, and we don't need tariffs that were illegally imposed. Those are first the 2 things that the next Congress actually needs to address. Listen, when gas goes up, the price of everything goes up. When the price to import goods come in, who pays that? The people who like me, who shop at Walmart and Publix, we pay that. If you want to make things cheaper, actually do it by stopping imposing a tax on imports. That's what a tariff is. Also, listen, with regard to our homes, and specifically here in Dania Beach and in Florida, look at how FEMA operates reinsurance programs and infrastructure grants. One of the things that makes housing truly unaffordable is the fact that our insurance is really, really unaffordable. If the government actually invested more in infrastructure grants and local governments, and in communities just like Dania Beach, and communities just like Miami Gardens, and communities just like Miami Beach, those things would actually help. It would help lower the cost of insurance. It would help allow people to get in homes and stay in homes. And listen, I would just say this. If you really want to get people in homes, we have FHA. We can redesign our housing instruments to allow people to afford homes. We know that right now, if you're paying rent in South Florida, you can probably pay a mortgage. The question isn't whether you can pay the mortgage. The question is whether you can get the loan. We set those rules. We underwrite those loans. If we set the rules and we underwrite the loans, then we should design a system that works for all Americans. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think a lot of the folks in this room, including me, could use immediate relief, and that's what my platform is focused on. The first thing that I would do is suspend the federal gas tax so that we can save money at the pump. The second thing that I would do is implement a monthly renter tax credit. So if you make, let's say for example, you should be paying more than 30% of your salary on rent. And if you do, the federal government should refund you for the difference. That would mean immediate relief for the folks in this room, including renters. And I'm a renter. I mean, I know in Miami-Dade County, it's something like 60% of the folks that live there are renters. Here in Broward, it's only 50%. That's how you provide immediate relief to folks, not relief that we should expect 10, 15 months from now, maybe, right? And finally, I want to implement a first-time homebuyer program so that first-time homebuyers can get $30,000 from the federal government to go out and buy a home. That can make a huge difference in people's lives, particularly young people like me. And second, I'd also implement a $60,000 grant for folks that are first-generation homebuyers, because we know that disadvantaged communities have often been priced out of these neighborhoods. They can't afford to buy a home, and they're stuck renting for their entire lives for generations on end. That will end if I'm elected to Congress.
Thank you. Another area that's very tough and a lot of people are dealing with is healthcare. How would you improve access to affordable healthcare while also reducing costs for taxpayers? Please be specific about the legislation you would support. Candidate Gilbert.
Well, I think one of the easy things that we can do is actually change the system that we have. Listen, we've been arguing about healthcare and affordability of healthcare for the better part of 30 years right now. What we know we can do is we can actually lower the age of Medicare, meaning that you can actually be eligible for Medicare sooner. That helps businesses, but it also helps residents. We can also change the income standards for Medicaid, because what they consider poor ain't really poor. Well, we know that you can work a full-time job that doesn't give you benefits and you still can't afford to go to the doctor. But this is one of those things that's personal for me. My father passed away from congestive heart failure. He sat on the sofa while his heart broke because he did not want to be a burden. People shouldn't be choosing to sit on the sofa and die because they don't want to be a financial burden to their families. This is something that's solvable. So let's just solve it. Thank you.
Candidate Meeks.
So, healthcare is a serious concern in this country, and I can't believe that in the greatest country in the world, in the richest country in the world, people still have to choose between medical debt and getting the treatment that they need, particularly our seniors. And that's why I support Medicare for all, so that regardless of your age, regardless of whether you have a job or not, regardless of your wealth, regardless of your background, you will have adequate health insurance, affordable health insurance. And look, the larger the insurance program, to answer your question about whether taxpayers can afford it, the larger the insurance program, the more you can negotiate with drug companies and tell them you can lower your prices, right? Because we're covering 60% of Americans, we're gonna get the best price for them. And we can pardon medical debt. It's something that the private sector does every single day. You can buy medical debt for pennies on the dollar because we know this works. Wall Street loves to profit off of people's backs and make sure they pay like incredible interest rates. The government could say, okay, look, I'm gonna buy this for 10 cents on the dollar, and then we'll excuse that debt. So the folks that have medical debt can get some kind of relief, particularly working class people.
While we were out walking about 2 days ago, we met with a mother, a woman who had just lost her husband, so she's a widow. And she said she was going to have to choose between paying her mortgage or whether she can get her prescription because she was running out of money, because she had a two-person household. Ms. Robinson's story is not an individualized story. You all know someone in that same predicament. We should not be able to live in the richest country in the world where we have to have a conversation of how individuals can pay for their health care. I think it's abysmal that we even have to have this conversation. The third thing is we have to make sure we look at one thing, and that is with our insurance company and how they are profiting off of people. I'm protein C deficient, and I have a doctor who I go to, but yet still when the insurance company and the businesses are in negotiation with each other and they come to an impasse, guess what? I have to go find another doctor in the richest company in the world, and richest country in the world. What do we need to do? We need to hold insurance companies accountable for how they are moving with everyday consumers who have serious health issues. The second thing we have to do, we have to hold hospitals accountable and how they are taking care of patients. No one should have to go to the emergency room where they cannot be saved and yet still try to figure out going to a different hospital. The federal government can't do that. And yes, Medicare for all should be something that we all stand up on. Why? Because again, healthcare should not be a privilege, because it is an actual right in this country. Thank you so much.
Thank you. When being elected for Congress, and you're in that Congress seat, what would be your plan to create better, great, paying jobs and support small businesses in District 24? Candidate Meeks.
Well, I think the first thing that we should do is support our small businesses. Because they're the ones that power this community, right? And treat their workers with respect. Too often we see these large corporations, I don't want to name names because I don't want to get in trouble over here, but y'all know what I'm talking about, that treat their workers like chips, right? Like just another piece on the chessboard. That ends when we invest in our small businesses. That's why we make sure that the Small Business Administration has the financing that it needs to provide loans, low-interest loans to our small businesses, provided they hire a certain amount of workers in certain areas, particularly in the areas that need it the most here in the district. Beyond that, making sure that we have workers' protections, that unions have a right to organize. If I get to Congress, I will support and protect the Right to Organize Act, otherwise known as the PRO Act, which is supported by unions. And it would essentially allow unions to collectively organize when they need to, and in states like Florida, they're trying to take that right away. I think that's an area where the federal government can step in and say, look, we're not going to allow this anymore. We're going to allow people to collectively organize because we know that when we stick together, we win.
Candidate Jones.
Thank you so much. The first thing we have to do, we have to expand access to capital. How many small business owners do we have here? I see the hands. These are all small business owners. The small business owners who are here, they would love to be able to open up their business without having to owe anyone. Why? Our small businesses are the backbone of our communities. We all remember the small mom and pop shop that you used to walk to get your 25-cent chips from when we were younger. That still can be the case, but what is happening now, you have larger corporations that's coming out, and they're what? They're pricing our small businesses out. We have to expand access to capital. The next thing that we need to do is we need to work to incentivize communities who allow small businesses in their communities for them to stay in our communities. When they stay in our communities do be able to grow. There's no knock against Walmart. Everybody loves Walmart, but mom and pop shops are just like a little Walmart because I can go buy me a little thing of Tide too inside these small businesses. We have to incentivize them to stay. We are going into a time where, yes, inflation is high, but there should be something in Congress to ensure that when inflation goes up and when businesses are having a problem with being able to thrive, the federal government should step in to incentivize those businesses to make sure that they can stay open. Why? Because small businesses in our community, they help our community grow and they employ within our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There are two basic programs that the SBA uses, the 7A program and the 504 program. The 7A program is a program that's for general business financing. 504 is basically for bigger stuff like land and large equipment and stuff like that. Listen, we can actually restructure those programs. Those programs don't have to operate the way they do. The 7A program should be useful for almost anything, but you need to actually raise the limits on it. The 504 program needs to be made more accessible to the businesses, the small businesses in our community that can use it. Listen, there's an elephant in the room when you talk about small businesses. Small businesses need help, but small businesses in specific areas need help, and specific groups need help. Less than 2% of small business loans go to Black small businesses. That's like a real thing. So why don't we have opportunity zones, small business opportunity zones through the SBA, where we pick designated areas. We know that we want to grow business and entrepreneurship in underserved areas, so why don't we actually target those areas? Listen, in the prior panel, the lady said equitable doesn't mean you treat everybody the same. No, it doesn't. It means you give everybody a chance. That's what we can do through the SBA. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last question. I don't know about anyone else, but I know I experienced a couple of years ago, probably 3 years ago, where we had this major rain that just continued, and we had major flooding. I know a 25-minute ride home for me ended up being an hour and a half. So let's talk about climate and infrastructure. South Florida faces flooding, sea level rise, and aging infrastructure. What federal investments would you prioritize to protect our communities? Candidate Gilbert.
I think larger and more targeted infrastructure grants have to happen. And that's going to be important for Dania Beach, it's going to be important for Miami Beach, Hollywood Beach, and we know where we are, and we're blessed by environment here in South Florida. Everybody's moving here, that's great. We also know that if we don't harden our infrastructure, that sea level rise, climate change, even though people want to deny it, they're actually real. You can fry an egg out there on the sidewalk sometimes. And in an hour later, you could be a foot deep in water. Yeah, it didn't used to be that way. So, but because we know that we can invest in the infrastructure hardening tools that actually allow us to still live in a great place, but also minimize our insurance liability and also give people some sense of comfort. Another thing when we talk about infrastructure is we really need to look at rapid mass transit the same way that the federal government looks at it. They don't look at it as Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach. They look at it as urbanized areas. So when you all talk about housing in Dania Beach, we should be having plans for housing in Dania Beach, housing in Hollywood, housing in Miami, housing in Miami Gardens. We need to address it and look at it like they do. That's how they fund larger systems as urbanized areas. We need to have a community plan. Thank you all very much.
All right, candidate Meeks.
So, I think the crux of the problem is understood by all the folks up here. But finding the solutions is really what our community needs to be focused on. When my grandmother, Carrie Meeks, was in Congress, she was on the Appropriations Committee, and she brought home the bacon for this district every time that she came home. That's talking about repairs after Hurricane Andrew. And I plan on doing the same thing if I'm elected to Congress. I think that we need to provide funding so we can make stormwater upgrades so that our streets don't flood anymore. I know that we're in a low-lying area as we speak. We need to make sure that our streets are raised so that, again, streets don't flood, cars don't get stuck. If you've ever been, has anyone ever run through a pond and your car stops? I have, okay. I learned my lesson. But again, it just speaks to the fact that we need to make these upgrades right now, and that's what a member of Congress does. They bring the bacon home, they bring the financing home, they get the shovels in the ground, and they get people over.
So just so you all know how this works, the federal government, the Department of Transportation, they send that money down to the Florida Department of Transportation. When that money comes to the Florida Department of Transportation, the Florida Department of Transportation has to appropriate how they spend that money. Who's ever in Congress, whoever one of us, you better be willing to go to Tallahassee to make sure that the dollars that are coming down to our community actually reach our community. Now hear me. You look at what's happening all across down south of individuals going through the interchange. Those are dollars that, I will be honest, that Congresswoman Wilson, that she has been fighting for in the federal government. But the Department of Transportation in Florida, for those of you all who have been fighting this fight when it comes to transportation, Tan and the other ones that sit here, we know what it is and how the money is not flowing into our communities. The last thing I'll say is this. Y'all, we are not going to build ourselves out of this situation. People are moving into the state of Florida every single day. Building more roads is not it. Mass transit is absolutely it. But if we're going to do mass transit, you got to make sure it's affordable for the people who are getting on these mass transit systems. That's what's important. No need to do mass transit if I can't afford to get on it. Y'all been on the Bright Line before? Some people can't even go because it costs too much money. And listen, so sorry, they're going bankrupt right now. But listen, at the end of the day, if we have a system that people can actually have access to get out of their cars in the mass transit, we can do this. We can get people out of their cars. But we got to hold Tallahassee accountable in how they're spending Washington, D.C.'s money. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Wait a minute, candidates. A minute. If your voters remember only one thing about your candidacy after tonight, what do you want it to be, and why are you the best person to represent Florida 24th Congressional District in this Congress, in this district? Let's go with candidate Meeks.
It's that I will always be honest with you, no matter what may come. There's a lot of money in politics these days. Some of my opponents understand that very well. I think some of y'all understand it too. But in my case, because of the way I was raised, because of my family background, because of my ethic of public service, I will always be honest with you. And I wish my opponents would do the same. They've taken money from Alcatraz contractors to fund their campaigns. They take money from pretty much anyone. We're in a church right now. We got to be careful, and we got to stay woke.
Candidate Gilbert.
Thank you. I had the privilege of being endorsed by Congresswoman Wilson. And one of the reasons she endorsed me, the reason she said she endorsed me, was because she watched my work. She just watched my work. It was really just that simple. She had lived in Miami Gardens, and I had been her mayor. And she watched me transform a city that people said couldn't be transformed. When I left, it was an all-American city. She watched my work. I had a record that she could actually point to. She watched me become county commissioner, vice chair the first year, the first meeting, they elected me vice chair. Then 2 years later, the first time in the history of the county, they made me the chairman. So I led a county $13 billion budget. She watched my work. She watched me solve problems. She watched me transform communities. She watched me get businesses to open. She watched me work.
Thank you.
Vote for me because she watched my work, and I'll vote for you. Thank you.
Candidate Jones.
First of all, thank you all for this opportunity. I'll say this. You all will have to make a decision. You have the endorsements, you see the signs, you see the mailers, you see all of that. But at the end of the day, you all are going to have to make the decision of who is the individual who is the best person to represent you. The second thing that I'll say is that I'm the only one that's sitting in this dais right now who has worked in probably one of the toughest legislative environments in this country. Passed legislation, over 40 pieces of legislation that touched 24 million people in this country. Whether it's from police body cameras, always the things like Teddy Bridgewater had. Things that people can see, people can touch, and people should know that it's changed their lives. When you go to the polls, take a look at the work that was done, but also look at the receipts of what was done. I have the receipts for my results. My hope is that you will see that when you vote on August 18th. Thank you all for this opportunity, and thank you again. Shevrin Jones.
Put your hands together for all our candidates. Thank you. And before I turn over the mic, I want to say thank you to Madam Grace for inviting me to do this. Once again, my name is Jeffrey Brown. I do have a podcast, South Florida Live podcast. Every Monday and Thursday, we talk about political